Again, it's about ensuring that employers and their employees and all the related stakeholders really work together with a common purpose. You know, so the theme for this year really is about creating that unity, that sense of, unity. And so the key employee issues really would be about the factors that drive employee engagement, the factors that really impact on the employees, bringing the best version of themselves to the workplace. Indeed, to find full expression of their potential, to find full fulfillment of their profession, and also to add full value to the organization. So you'd find that these are critical employee engagement conversations, matters around how people are developed, how people are remunerated, how careers are managed, matters around meaningful work, meaningful careers, conducive working environment, exciting and enabling culture in which to find expression. Those are the key issues really that you find that are notably discussed, amongst employers and
but in these climes, though, when you look at the area of career development, what has been the major feedback you've been getting from people you've been dealing with?
Well, so in the typical workplace today, you've got a number of generations. In the workplace, there's a generation. You have the baby boomers, you've got the millennials, and you've got the Generation Z. So you find the expectations vary, and the person type and the profiles of these generations vary. So they bring all of this difference into the workplace, and the organization needs to respond. So the needs come through in their respective profiles. The millennials generally, they get very restless very quickly, and so they want a platform that can identify their potential and the need for them to have a change. So they would like to own their careers. Individualistic patterns of careers is really common among the millennials. They want to own their careers, and they simply want the organization to give them a platform to move around, rotate jobs. Job mobility is very key to them. And you find that the Generation Z actually, they really think that they should be defining the pace of the organization. So they want to drive innovation. They want to work in agile teams. They want to work in teams where they can really, really put forward their ideas, where creativity really can be at its best. So you find that the organization needs to also respond to them by putting in place infrastructure that will enable them work in teams, whether on a project basis or in agile teams working across the organization. So they feel they're in 3 different jobs at the same time, when actually they're just in one substantive job.
So more or less trying to create that synergy that is needed, for the driving of the company. But let me get into something I really want to speak about, which is dealing with mental health situations in the workplace. If you have employees that are dealing with things like depression, domestic violence, or all that, how do you make amends for those kind of employees?
So you've touched on, on a matter that you've received global attention in recent time. And that's because it's all about really bringing the employee to the workplace in the best version of themselves, enabling them to bring their best to the workplace. And this has everything to do with the physical part of things. It has everything to do with the emotional. It has everything to do with the psychological balance of an employee. So here we're talking about how does the organization respond to this? At Stanbic IBTC Holdings, we have an interesting, approach to this. So for us, it's an integrated approach to employee engagement. We have an employee assistance program in place that enables the organization provide an infrastructure for all our employees to access 24/7 telephonic support for matters of emotional wellness. So it's about your physical wellness, your intellectual capacity, and it's also about your ability to bring your best emotions and your wellness to the office. So when employees are faced with social issues, matters that could really lead to anxiety and depression, for example, domestic violence, the loss of a loved one, traumatic situations that are part of our everyday lives, where does the employee go for support? So for us, we have a team of psychologists, counselors, professionals, already on a platform, and the employees know how to reach them in a confidential setting. They receive support through coaching, they receive support through counseling, and when they have to have specialized cases, they're also referred. Extremely confidential. So the employees, are quick to address their personal needs through that platform. So what's important is that the organization must provide an infrastructure to allow the mental wellness of the employees to be catered for. So it's not about just going to a regular hospital and a regular doctor to say what, to say you've had a domestic violence challenge, to say a loved one is suffering from a chronic challenge, a chronic illness. That's not very easy to share because they're matters of the heart. But they affect the emotions, they affect the productivity, they affect the wellness. An important aspect is also creating what we call the proactive part of things. So wellness and, wellness education has really got to be completely structured and formalized, so employees know what to do to avoid depression.
All right, but I want you to speak to this point, from the cultural perspective. We've seen instances in Japan where they have the issue of which is called karoshi, where employees are working themselves to death, sometimes because they are quite ambitious, trying to outdo each other in there. But from the company culture perspective, how can an institution work to prevent these kind of attitudes?
It's very important that employees and employers, again, unite and work together towards this purpose. The subject of work-life balance is very important, critical to personal development, critical to employee career management, and critical to the organizations, providing an enabling culture for the employees to thrive. So what do we say? Employers need to provide policies that support and systems that support wellness and support work-life balance. And, companies do different things. In my company, we have aerobics. We have the aerobics, instruction that comes into our major campuses to ensure that people once a week really get to, go through some form of exercise to engage your balance. We have organizations that shut down their systems, shut down their elevators, shut down power to make sure that people close and go home on time. So there are tactical measures that the organization can put in place to sort of help drive work-life balance, as well as education. Enable people to understand, why do I need to listen to my body? Why do I need to plan a balance, achieve as much as possible a balance or an integration of my work and life, such that, I allow my body, because the human body is a machine, I allow my body to actually find that expression. So it's a lot to do with education and an infrastructure.
So, but then how can organizations then position to keep some of their top talent?
Oh, interesting. Talent retention and engagement is another, line of study that requires that organizations really firstly identify who are this talent, and then secondly put in place a structured platform to ensure that the talents are absolutely engaged and they can unleash their potential in a manner that is exciting. And you can use various strategies, one of which will be development, mentoring, coaching, executive leadership programs. So I'm a talent, and I know that I've got potential, to do a lot more. But I need to be sure that my organization has active conversations with me. So I do know that firstly, I've been identified as talent, and secondly, the organization has a structured plan in place for me to say, this is how we see you move around the organization to have your potential fully optimized and indeed to have a robust career and a progressive one within the organization. So